Hello and welcome to another First Glimpse. This is Conan the Hyborian Age. I just took delivery of this today. This was a Kickstarter, I want to say last year, and I just got it today. I've had the PDFs for a while now, but I just got the physical delivery. I actually just filmed a video opening up the whole box and everything that came in it, and then realized that I had not actually pushed start on the button. So, the video didn't record, so you don't get to see me with glee going through the package, so we're going to do our best to go through it, and I'll pretend that I'm excited again to see this. But spoiler, I like this. Let's go ahead and take a look at the basic stuff that you get. I do have an extra bundle of things in here. Character sheets, adversary sheets, there's some maps, there's some posters, there are some reference cards to use during play, things like that. There's also a book for the game master to help him to create adventures. I'm not going to go through all that. Let's just go through the kind of the core books that you can get in the game. So this game is put out by Monolith Games, and just recently we had a Conan game, a 2D20 game from Modifius, and I bought it and I was not impressed. I didn't like the system. The 2D20 system was just not my thing. I think this is going to be a much better feel for the sort of game that I would imagine a Conan game to be, which would be gritty, sword and sorcery, very low magic. Let's take a look. If the artwork is anything like the game in this, I'm going to love this. So let's look at the core book first. This comes in at 220 pages or so. And the art, again, is just fantastic in here. It talks a little bit about the legacy of Conan and sword and sorcery. I grew up on the John Milius Conan the Barbarian movie from the early 80s. That's still one of my top movies. I think that is like my favorite like sword and sorcery movie of all time, if not one of my favorite movies of all time. It really holds up well. Don't even bother with the new Conan with Jason Momoa. That's not even Conan. And I grew up on the Robert E. Howard books and Savage Sword of Conan comic books, which are still some of the best drawn comics I've ever seen. I want to capture that feel in a role-playing game. 5th edition D&D is not it. That is too high magic for me, for a Conan game. Now, there's nothing wrong with high magic, but for a Conan game, it needs to be low magic, gritty, sword and sorcery. Pretty much only the bad guys have magic. So let's take a look at this game. This will be a PG-13 review because there is some art coming up that shows a topless woman. So, there we are, right there. So it's like RuneQuest. If you've looked through the RuneQuest books, you're going to see, nudity. But it's, I don't know what the word is, tasteful, I guess. But it's there. Don't buy this for your 9-year-old. But, your 9-year-old probably shouldn't be buying this anyway. This is kind of an ultra-violent sort of game. To create your character, one thing that I think is really cool, your origin, you choose from the hills, or from the streets, from the steppes. Did I skip one? Nope, I didn't. From the north, from the wilds, from a civilized land, from parts unknown, or from the blood of Jebel Sag, or from the blood of Acheron, or from the blood of a demon. And then you basically just distribute your stat points. There are some values that are determined by those stat points, and then you choose your starting skills, you equip your character, and you create a backstory, and that's it. The character sheet is a single side of one page, very, very bare bones. but there's nothing wrong with that. Let's take a quick look at the character sheet. There's one in the back. Right there, that would be a character sheet. So you've got like your stats, you've got your life points, weapons and armor, sorcery and skills. With the rules, there is a kind of a quirk to the rules called the flex die. This is how you can change the tide of battle with this flex die. You start out with a D10, and this can be improved to a D8 or a D6, and there will be times where you will use this flex die during the game. In fact, you roll it every time that you roll dice, unless a rule tells you otherwise. And then, depending on what you get, there's different outcomes. Skill checks is essentially how the game works. You have a difficulty level, and you want to exceed that. There are a couple of modifiers in here, but that's essentially it as far as like checks go. And then we just get straight into combat, and this will be definitely a combat-centric game. So the rules for combat will be a little bit more advanced than just 2 or 3 pages, like we did for skills. Amazing artwork in here again. Then we get into like your life points, stamina points, poison, encumbrance, and then sorcery. And my hope with this game, and again, I've not really looked through these rules, but my hope is that sorcery is kind of the domain of the bad guys, or the fell, sort of dark figures in the game. That not everyone has access to sorcery. That may not be what this is. I'm hoping that not everyone has like magic. I'm okay if it's certain, you might call it sorcery, but it helps you to, maybe it gives you a boost in combat, but it's not like some magical effect. I don't know. We'll see what it is when I dig more into this. But I don't think, and I hope that that's not the case, that not everyone has magical spells that they can cast. So the different schools, there's alchemy, black magic, demonic magic. You see the trend here. Necromantic magic, it's kind of the bad guys. But then there's white magic, so there may be some, it looks like a druid. You can call a beast, do some healing, things like that. And that would be like the wizard in the Conan the Barbarian movie, played by Mako. He would be probably more like the white magic. And then we get into a section on game mastering, how to run the game. So the rules are only like 30 pages of rules, and then how to run encounters. And then here's all the stat blocks for the different foes that you might face. There's guards, bandits, picts, cultists, pirates, barbarians, steppe riders, sorcerers, living statues. These are inanimates, undead like skeletons or mummies, ghosts, vampires, monstrosities like ghouls, the Scourge of Set, the Black Ones, the Deep Dwellers. Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft were pen pals, and they communicated quite a lot. In fact, letters would be in the 30s and 40s and 50s of pages to one another, and they communicated back and forth right up until Robert E. Howard took his own life. And in fact, you can still find their writings. They've been put into different books. Their conversations are in there, and they shared and delved, at least Robert E. Howard did, into Lovecraft's mythos. He, in fact, created Tsathoggua in his own writings, and So Lovecraft was more than delighted to have Robert E. Howard playing in his sandbox. So that looks like a deep one from Lovecraft. Jungle dragons, frost giants. One of my favorite Robert E. Howard Conan stories is The Frost Giant's Daughter. And it's public domain. You can find it online. It's a short read. Do yourself a favor and read it. It's fantastic. One of the best in there. And then demons, lesser demons, winged nightmares, beasts, gray man apes, and then the history of the Hyborian age. So again, just lore. I'm just going to kind of fly through some of this. We're not going to read all the headlines. The Hyborian age in Conan's time. So this would, I think the default setting is going to be Hyperborea, but you could probably run this in another setting just using this rule set, but it's kind of, I don't think it's vital, but I think you'll have more fun if you play this in Hyperborea. Fantastic map. Get into all the different kingdoms like Aquilonia and Cimmerian and Stygia, Nemedia, Zamora. I'm sure Stygia will be where many of the foes will originate. Probably do some adventuring into Stygia. Like right there. Looks like you're maybe in Stygia. And then we get into the tales. Now I don't want to spoil these, but I am going to show the first one. The first one is relatively short. This is set up as an introduction to the game, to run the adventure, The King's Mound. And it's the first little headline here is Dinner for Wolves. And if you've seen the movie from 1982, I believe it was, you'll get that. That's one of the better parts where Conan meets Subutai. You've got a map, looks like 4 rooms. You've got a couple of foes. Looks like there's a sort of skill check that you'll make, an edge check, some combat, and that's it. So relatively straightforward. You'll get to kind of test the rules at a very basic level. I think that'd be a great way to get started. You go into this King's Mound, which is kind of where Conan found the Atlantean sword in the movie. So this looks very much like the King's Mound. You may come out of there, be surrounded by wolves, and then in the next scene you're walking along all bedecked with pelts. In fact, wild dogs. So, yeah, there we go. So this is very much taken from the movie. I already love this. I don't want to spoil what's in the next tales, so we're just kind of jump past those because I'm going to play those, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone else. The third tale is The Frost Giant's Brother. So again, please go read The Frost Giant's Daughter. It's fantastic. And then I'm going to skip over that. We get to Advanced Rules, which is 2 pages. Fighting styles and advanced skills. So if you want to up the game, that's a way that you can do that. Then we've got some character sheets you can photocopy, or mine did include a pad of about 40 or 50. And then it talks about the where to go from here. And I have these 2 books, so we're going to look at those right now. The Tales of the Hyborian Age. So let's first take a look at the GM screen. This one, it's 4 panels, and it covers checks, the flex die, combat, and then weapons and armor, and stamina points and recovery. So that's the basis of the game. Everything you really need to run a combat, which is, again, this is a combat-centric game, is going to be there. Let's take a look at Tales of the Hyborian Age, volumes 1 and 2. These are about 130 pages each. Yeah, about 132 for this first one. And this contains tales or adventures. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But the first one is actually a mini campaign. It's in 5 parts. And these each have a number of crows next to them. And the number of crows denotes the difficulty. So 1 crow, the doom that came to Jebel Tor, which is, I think, a play on the doom that came to Sarnath, an H.P. Lovecraft story, would be an easy one. Wild River would be a difficult one, or the campaign, A Storm Under Tarantia, would be a difficult one. I don't want to spoil excuse me, much of this. Let's just kind of skim through so you can get an idea of the layout. I think you've seen the layout already in the other book, but just to kind of show how the tales are set up. So I don't want to spoil A Storm Under Tarantia because that is the campaign. So we're going to jump ahead to a different one. Let's jump to Wild River. How about that one? So we'll look at Wild River, but you can see the artwork in this is just fantastic. So we've got a map, a couple of areas. We got apes, some guards, a battle sorcerer. Here's a parlay. I parlay with my sword. Like another encounter, crocodiles, some rapids, the Cave Ape King. My goodness, this looks awesome. And then there's waterfalls. Different things will happen at the waterfalls. And then continue out to the conclusion and reward. So that's probably a 3 to 4 hour session right there. It looks fantastic. I mean, this game looks really cool. I love the artwork. I love the layout. It's not complex. It's very, very simple without being simplistic. I think it has an old school sort of feel to it. At least it does in appearance. Let's look at Tales of the Hyborian Age Volume 2. This one, again, is I think about 130 pages, 127. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tales. Looks like there are 3 that are difficulty 3, 3 that are difficulty 1, and 4 that are difficulty 2. And so you have a good mix of difficulties here. And again, I don't want to spoil all this, so I'm going to kind of flip through chunk by chunk as we go through these pages here. But you can see it's the same sort of layout that we've seen before. It's set up very nicely to run the game. Everything you might need, and again, there's bookmarks in here that you might need to run the game. It's all set up here. I love that you have the stat blocks clearly marked out, so it's easy to find. If I were running this, I might print this and actually cut these out. If I was running at a table, I'll probably run this online, so it won't matter. But it's nice to be able to have a large stat block like that. The artwork, again, like, that's going to look so good on a virtual tabletop. Throw some lighting and stuff in there. This one, yeah, this has a puzzle, which looks really cool. If puzzles aren't your jam, skip it. But at least it's there if you want to use it. Oh, man, that looks fantastic. Yeah, very, very cool. I am excited for this. I probably won't play this until the Foundry system and content module comes out, but I am definitely going to play this. Looks fantastic. Please let me know what you think. Is this something, has this been on your radar? Is this the first time you're hearing of this? Are you a fan of Conan? Does this look like something that you would want to play? Let me know what you think. I am excited to play this. I think this will have a definite place at my table. Will this be my fantasy game of choice? I don't know. I'd have to play it first. But is this something that I would enjoy running and playing? I think absolutely. I'm excited to kick the tires and see how it rolls. But it passes the first glimpse check. I definitely recommend this. This looks fantastic. Thanks, you guys, and I hope to see you around very soon.